second series of the stately homes of Norfolk, in which once again I seek out a small selection of the variety that we are blessed with in our county.
Dissolution of the monasteries, the buildings, lots of stone, flints, and they were brought here to build what you see now.
So a real case of Tudor recycling.
A real case of Tudor recycling, yes.
From the 15th century moated Mannington Hall and the equally delightful Hindringham Hall to the early 20th century house that is one of the great achievements of the arts and crafts movement, Vowood.
I'd never seen such an extraordinary building. At the time it was about the price of a flat in London.
Each offers a glimpse into their richness of history, art, substance, architecture, gardens and ownership. The 7,000-acre Raynham estate is located near the source of the River Wensum, where the river then flows northeasterly towards Pensthorpe Nature Reserve, before dropping south to merge with the River Yare at Troughs in Norwich, over 50 miles later. Raynham Hall is one of the oldest in Norfolk, built almost 100 years before the foundations of Holkham Hall were laid. It was the first in England to be heavily influenced by European architecture, built in an entirely new style following the Italian form with a more contemporary red brick design. This magnificent 17th century hall near Fakenham has been home to the Townsend family for more than 300 years. The story of the house that stands today begins with Sir Roger Townsend, the first baronet, who inherited at the age of 7 in 1603 when his father was killed in the last horseback duel in England on Hounslow Heath. In records held at the hall dated August the 30th, 1619, there is a note that states, "This week begin the building," and these continued until April the following year. It has been in the family ever since, and almost every generation of Townsend has been a hugely impressive figure in politics, the army, navy, even agriculture. And today, Lord and Lady Townsend have very kindly agreed for our cameras to go and visit and see the interior beauty and to meet some of these interesting characters.
Hello, Chris.
Charles,
How are you?
Nice to see you. Thank you very much.
Nice to see you. This is the Marble Hall. Yes, it was not this colour actually. It was oak all around before. William Kent came along 100 years after it was built and thought he'd make it look very smart. And he did, and all that you see really in the house is William Kent's redesign of a house that was already 100 years old.
Lovely furniture we've got in here as well.
Yeah, the furniture is quite nice. That settee is mahogany, and above it you see the portrait of Charles Townsend, who was Turnip Townsend.
Ah, I'd like to see this.
Well known in Norfolk, obviously. The frame is very special. That's William Kent, and the portrait of Charles is very important.
Clearly you can see the Kent influence in this, and I know the staircase in particular has got some Kent, so can we go and have a look at that?
Yes, let's have a look at that. The nice part about this is William Kent painted this all himself.
And Kent wasn't actually a painter by trade, was he?
No, he was trained. The only training he ever had was as a coach painter.
Ah.
And Raynham was the first house he did in Norfolk. These are the four seasons, the central faces of the four seasons. And he adapted bits from history and Grecian history. And was it Diana who's turned into a tree? Because she looked back and they said, don't look back, and if you look back you'll be turned into a tree. You see, she's looking back. And she's beginning to be turned into a tree.
It is quite magnificent.
It's lovely.
I really want to see the Belisarius.
Come on, let's go and look at the Belisarius.
Have a look at that.
Yeah. So this is the Belisarius. Ah, here's Alison.
Ah, Alison, hello.
You've met before.
Yes, nice to see you again. How are you?
I'm scared, will you forgive me? I'll leave you in Alison's hands.
Thank you very much
much
indeed.
more about it than I do.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Nice seeing you.
Talk to you later on.
Bye-bye.
Wow, what a room.
Well, you made the right noise when you came in here. This is what this room is meant to do to you. You're meant to go, oh, I didn't expect this.
Tell me a little bit about this gentleman here.
Well,
quite fascinating.
He was known as Champagne Charlie, and he was involved in the Stamp Act and the duty in America, which kind of lost us the colonies, but he's pretty popular in America, as you can imagine.
I presume the nickname Champagne Charlie was because he enjoyed the best of the French bubbles?
I think he probably did. He probably spoke rather well, having had a glass or two.
Let us talk about the stunning ceiling.
Yes, which is quite interesting, the ceiling, because you can tell the difference between a William Kent painting in the middle and the paintings around the outside, which were done, I think, possibly by his studio. You know, because the animals are so beautifully painted, whereas the animals on the stairs are clearly early William Kent. And I'm told it's very distinguished to have early William Kent in your house, because he wasn't very good at painting animals.
And the beautiful fireplace as well.
Yes, that is absolutely straight William Kent. And the extraordinary capriccio, that oval painting below, we discovered in the cellars, and it was thought to be a frame. It looked like a bit of wood. And I suddenly saw there was a picture underneath, and we had it cleaned, and it's a William Kent capriccio. This is brush strokes, and it's all very symbolic.
So when the King Charles II visited, this was his dining room.
Yes.
And I understand we've also got the King's bedroom here as well.
We have. We have the King's bedroom. This is the King's bedroom. Sadly, no furniture left from the Carolean era, because this is a family house, and this was used. It's not a museum, and it was used, and I've taken away quite a lot of the 50s elements in this room and tried to get it back to a sort of semblance of elegance, without incurring vast expense.
So what would have been inside King Charles II's bedroom then here?
Well, I think probably on the wall opposite us there would have been tapestries. I don't think that window would have been open, and the walls would have been covered with tapestry, apart from the very formal William Kent bits.
And I'm fascinated to see your saloon, because there's a lot of wonderful portraits.
Yes.
Can we go and have a look at that?
Yes, that would be lovely, and I'll show you where the Vere captains once hung.
Oh, right. Let's do that, absolutely. So this is the Red Saloon?
Yes, and this was a room created for a set of enormous portraits of military captains in the 17th century. It must have been an incredible sight when they were all here. Very sad to have lost them, but...
That was early 20th century,
early 20th century, yes.
Yes. So now, it's obviously a family room.
Yes, it's a family room, and most of the people hanging on these walls are connected with the family.
That is a young Queen Anne, is it not?
It is. It's Princess Anne, and I never knew she was so pretty. She's rather sweet looking. I just, you know, one has a vision of Queen Anne as a dropsy and rather large woman. And the ballroom at St James's Palace was built for her because she loved dancing. And she was very instrumental in the career of the second Viscount.
Right.
So important to have her here.
And who else have we got on the walls here?
She is the mother of the first wife of the second Viscount. Right. That's Thomas Townsend, who became Lord Sydney, after whom Sydney, Australia and Sydney, Nova Scotia are named, because he was a very humane, enlightened Home Secretary and a very, very good politician, honourable and sound. He was a good man.
There's the Rubens.
After Rubens, shall we say.
Yeah.
And that's Champagne Charlie again. And this beautiful man here is Charles Townsend, second Viscount, again, with his favourite scarf.
And then there's this rather attractive young lady over the fireplace.
Who could have been painted last week. Yes. I know. She was the youngest daughter of the first Marquis, so that's an 18th century portrait.
This is a wonderful, wonderful room, the Red Saloon. It hasn't always been red though, has it?
No, there was an unfortunate 50-year period of its life when it was pale green, very nasty pale green. And the housekeeper and I repainted this about 3 years ago. It was a glorious moment.
It's been absolutely fabulous, and thank you very much to both you and Charles for allowing us to come round.
Well, it's a pleasure. It's lovely for people to come into Raynham because they always love it.
Yes.
It leaves something very positive behind when you come and
Yes.
visit.
Yes, well, thank you very much. It's been a thoroughly enjoyable visit. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Church of St Mary stands within the estate at Raynham with an active congregation led by Charles and Alison. It was originally built in the 15th century but demolished in the 1860s, rebuilt and completed by 1868. There are still 15th century features such as the Easter Sepulchre, but primarily this is a Victorian church with its 8 bells restored and augmented in 2002. And amongst those buried there are a number of the Townsend family, including Champagne Charlie. The Townsend family have lived here for many generations, and several of those figures have held high office. Chancellor of the Exchequer, Secretary of State, Field Marshal, Lord Lieutenant of Norfolk. But it's always been and remains today a family home. Several of those characters have had amusing nicknames. Turnip Townsend and Champagne Charlie were just 2 that we met today. I guess every family has its characters, perhaps an uncle that everyone thinks is slightly off the wall. So if you do get the opportunity to visit, then do see this wonderful stately family home of Norfolk.